welcome back to the Yoga Club. This is going to be a short and sweet video highlighting one of the inversions, the traditional inversions of our yoga practice, which is Salamba Sarvangasana, supported shoulder stand. Traditionally, this practice is done in a sequence of 5 poses, although depending on which guru you speak to, some say 3, some say 5 poses. The school that I follow, we're going to be aiming to at some point acquire all 5 of the poses for this inversion sequence. I will demo how those 5 poses are woven together, but I will not be demoing how long we're traditionally holding the poses for, because many of them are 10 breaths or even a little bit more, 8 breaths to 10 breaths or maybe more. So I'm just going to show what the sequence looks like of these 5 poses, from starting with our shoulder stand, coming into our fish pose, and then we'll talk about ways to modify that so that you can start to develop the right strength and the right opening to achieve this sequence. So as I demo the poses, coming into a shoulder stand, I'm going to come towards the floor. And it's like I'm in a bridge posture here, or a prep for a Western bridge posture, where my feet are about hip distance apart, soles of the feet are on the floor. I'm trying to widen my shoulders apart and push them into the floor as well. And then if you want to start with palms facing up as an alignment check, we do that, and then we see if we could turn the palms to face down with still keeping the shoulders in position. My hands are going to be lifting off the floor for shoulder stand and coming to my lower back. So that's, I'm going to just demo, I guess, without instruction, and then we'll go to the instructions. So lifting hips up, shoulder stand. This first pose in the sequence. Here is held for maybe 20 breaths. Then we come into plow. And I think this is 8 to 10. And then we come into snail. Same 8 to 10. Then we release back into shoulder stand. Traditional, here we come into full lotus. And then traditionally here, we actually lift the hands off the floor, coming into an inverted seated position. Then we release the full lotus down towards the ground, clasping the feet. Well, first I'm going to lift myself up, bringing my hands to my hips. Then we coming into this shape. And the last shape in the sequence is releasing arms and legs. That's the last pose. Okay, so that is what the traditional sequence looks like. We try to do all those postures, holding the shoulder stand for anywhere from 10 breaths to 20 breaths. The other poses are traditionally more like 8 to 10 breaths, but as you're starting, you could aim for 3 breaths, then 5 breaths, and continue to increase as you practice. And some things that we can talk about is, how do we modify shoulder stand? Well, first way we can modify shoulder stand is simple. If we have blocks, 1 or 2, we can place them underneath the hips, coming into a supported bridge position, and then just lift the feet off the ground. We're going to push our bellies in, tuck our tailbone under, draw the lower back in towards the block as we lift the feet up. That's our first shoulder stand modification. Second modification will be using the hands to support us. We're going to come into our plow so that we can then squeeze the shoulders back behind us and bring the hands to the hips. And then from here, you're tucking your knees in and lifting them up as you push into your back, tucking your shoulders and trying to lift your hips up and trying to straighten out your legs. And this is where maybe the hips are coming a little bit down. We're not straight yet. And then the straighter we get, we'll come over practice. So we can be here as we modify, but we want to engage through the core, squeeze into the glutes. And in time, we're going to walk our hands closer and closer to the shoulders and lift the feet up more and more towards the ceiling. And then in our plow position, we can always place a block back behind us. Oops, my crystals. A block back behind us for the feet to land on instead. And we can hold a strap or a t-shirt here if we can't clasp our hands.
And if we can clasp our hands, we'll be here. And in time, the feet are coming towards the floor. And then if you've got this pose, it's okay to bend the knees and not reach the forehead. And in time, we reach the forehead. And in time, we slowly are crawling and crawling and crawling and squeezing the knees to the ears. And then back to shoulder stand. We can lift one leg at a time. We don't have to come into the full straight position, though we're trying to practice it. Maybe we're here with hips lifting up over the shoulders, but feet back. And in time, we're trying to get to that straight position. So we can have a full lotus, or maybe we can be in half lotus here. Or maybe we'll cross the legs kind of kindergarten style. And instead of we won't take the shoulders off the floor if we're still here. We'll use our hands to support us. And we're going to try to engage the core and create the seated cross-legged position. And then either in half lotus, full lotus, or in this cross-legged position, we can release the hips back down and open the knees out. We grab the hips, we prop ourselves up, and maybe we just look up and release back. We can also, if we have it in us, to release the head and push up and be here. And if you want to try, if you have the head down, then you can try for a modified fish pose with hands still on the ground or on the hips and trying to release one leg at a time. And then when you're ready, more and more comes up. But we could be here where we just do one leg at a time, or both legs. And then when we can get to releasing the hands, we will. If we don't have those yet, we're going to start with what we got. So if it has to be still just one block under the hips and feet lifting, this is a great way to start our inversion practice. We can also incorporate this bridge pose first before our shoulder stand to start engaging the core and the glutes and those hamstrings and starting to prepare the body for the strength that's going to be needed for our inversion. And when we come into this position, we still want to engage the core and the glutes as we straighten out the legs and lift the feet up. Maybe you'll even point the toes to really help you try to engage the legs. Our second modification is lifting the hips up any amount, supporting with the hands, and then lifting the feet up any amount. And in time, we're crawling the hands further towards the shoulders. The hips are coming further on top of the shoulders, and the feet are lifting further and further up towards the ceiling. And in time, we're pushing the head back, lengthening the neck, and creating space between the chin and the chest. But it's okay to be anywhere in between as we start, but still engaging the body muscles. So see if you can still engage your quads and engage your glutes and your core if you're in this shape. And then we can remember for our next modification, we try to come into plow. Maybe you're here with the hips still far away from the shoulders. You could still come into your plow, trying to bring your feet towards the floor. If you need to still hold on to your hips, you can. If you're able to start to engage your core enough that you can release your hands and find a clasp or hold a towel or a strap, okay. And then we can also remember that we could prep by having something for the feet to land on that's any height. And then if you are able to have a plow position, you'll probably be able to come into some element of the snail. And then we want to see some element of crossing the legs and trying to be in an upside down seated cross-legged pose with a deep neck stretch. And then remembering to slowly lower down and to reverse the stretch. We're trying to open the hips up, so maybe we're not doing it with full lotus, but we still get a lot happening with cross-legged position. I'm holding onto my hips and propping up onto my elbows. And now this is going to be important. I got to roll the shoulders back and look up and maybe release the head back. That's the next stage. If we can do it from this position where we bring the top of the head here towards the floor. And if you have that,
Then you can try extending one leg at a time or both legs. And maybe taking hands off the floor, but if we can modify as needed, those are the stages. And then as a nice inversion, or a counter stretch, excuse me, we can draw the knees in towards the chest and roll from side to side, massaging the lower back. So in this short video, I'm trying to highlight and demonstrate what the shoulder stand sequence is all about, how it looks and how we come into these shapes. There's these traditional 5 expressions that we're trying to make with the body at the end of our practice before our headstands. And it's really seen as a pivotal pose in the yoga sequence. So if you're an advanced yogi and you have quite a deep flow practice, we definitely need to be incorporating a shoulder stand modification if we can't create the designated shape to its fullest at the start. And we want to hope to build up the strength and flexibility to get into the full shape. If you feel like your body is not ready for it, or if it's personally a practice that you're not about, please consider to create a gentle inversion even for your vigorous flow sequence so that you can tap into some of the important elements of inverting the body daily. Practice, 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 and this way all will be coming. Namaste.